Hey everybody, and welcome to another week of fun lunch ideas for school. This week, every lunch is packed with Halloween fun. Now, I have made so many Halloween lunches over the years, and they're really some of my favorite lunches to make. The lunches of this week include some of the kids' favorite Halloween treats that they look forward to every year. But I'm also throwing in some new ideas as well. All of the lunches this week are super fun and cute, but they're also really quick and easy to make. Now, if this is your first time here, welcome. Make sure to hit that red subscribe button and give this video a big thumbs up if you like fun lunch ideas too. Now let's get started. Good morning guys, and happy Tuesday. Now that's right, I said Tuesday. That's because yesterday there was no school, it was a holiday. For today's lunch I have something really fun planned, and I decided to bring out my old lunch boxes. Now I used to use these ones all the time and I still really like them. I'm going to start by adding a little bit of decoration to these boxes, and then I'm going to move on to the main course. Now, I've seen this idea floating around on Pinterest for quite a while, but I'm going to try to make my own version. And for this, I'm going to need some guacamole. So I'm going to start with just 3 pieces of bread. And I want these pieces of bread to be a little bit more of a rectangle shape, so I'm going to trim off just a little bit of the crust on each side. So many of you have asked me to show what I do with these crusts after I save them, so I wanted to let you know that next Wednesday I'm going to be making a breakfast video where I'll show you exactly what I do with the crusts that I save. So make sure to check out that video. So now that my bread is a little bit more rectangle shaped, I'm going to bring it over to my toaster and pop them in. Now surprisingly, these look really good. I have to admit that 9 times out of 10, I end up burning the toast. For my next step, I'm going to add probably about 2 tablespoons of guacamole onto each piece of bread. Now I'm saving a lot of time here by just using the store-prepared guacamole. I don't know about you guys, but I don't really have enough time in the morning to make my own guacamole, so this is perfect. All of my kids love avocados and guacamole, and because this is bright green, it's going to be perfect for this lunch. So now that I have the guacamole nice and spread out, it's time to cut the cheese. White cheddar cheese to be exact. So I'm adding 2 oval pieces of cheese to each bread, followed by 2 slices of olive, just like that. Now as you can tell, these are already looking very spooky, but I'm not quite done yet. Next I'm going to add some olives. I did go ahead and cut these into quarters, and I'm just lining them up across the top of the bread. Now this is supposed to look like hair. Now if you haven't already guessed it, I am making a Frankenstein toast. But I want these to be cute little happy Frankenstein guys. So I'm going to be adding half a slice of pepperoni. That way these guys have a big smile. Now I'm going to finish these guys off by adding a few more little pieces of olive. And the idea is that these look kind of like the stitching that you might find on a Frankenstein's face. And there you have it, Frankenstein avocado toast. Now because I toasted the bread first, it shouldn't get soggy in the lunchbox. And because I'm using guacamole, there's a little bit of lime juice mixed in, and that's gonna help our guacamole stay nice and green and not turn all brown in the lunchbox. Now moving on to the vegetable. For today's lunch, I'm gonna be adding in some celery sticks. So I'll go ahead and cut these into small enough pieces to fit in the lunchbox. Then I'm going to turn these into a lunchtime classic. I'm going to fill each one with a little bit of chunky peanut butter. Now so far these look like regular ants on a log, but instead of adding raisins for this, I thought it'd be really spooky to add some eye sprinkles instead. I'm going to go ahead and add just a few of the teeny tiniest eyeball sprinkles right on top of the peanut butter. These stick so well. And check it out you guys, this celery has its eye on you. In today's lunch I'm going super classic. This is seriously a quick idea that anyone can do. I'm just going to take a little mandarin orange, and basically all you have to do is take either a Sharpie or a food writer pen, and you just draw a little jack-o'-lantern face directly on the peel. And then I like to take these one step further, just so they look even more like a real jack-o'-lantern. I'm going to take a little paring knife and very carefully cut a little X on the top of my orange. Not very deep, I don't want the juices to fall out or anything. Then I'm going to take a little tiny piece of celery that I saved, and I'm going to very carefully poke it down inside the orange, just like that. These make such cute little stems for our jack-o'-lanterns, and it's so easy to do. Now, so far these lunches are looking awesome, but I do have a few more things I want to add. For the kids' lunches, I'm also going to be throwing in some Go-Go Squeeze. They love this stuff, and right now the stores are selling these really fun Halloween versions with the cute little characters on the outside. So I'm going to go ahead and give the kids each one of these. And then on Tuesday, I always pack some extra snacks for later in the day. Right after the kids get out of school, we head to Disney World for the evening. So to save money, I always try to pack fun snacks that the kids can take with them. So for today's snack, I'm going to start by adding some pretzels, but these aren't just any pretzels. These are the special Halloween ones. This includes cute little pumpkin-shaped pieces and bat-shaped pieces. So I'll go ahead and fill up this section of the snack box. And then on the other side, a sweet treat. I'm going to add in a scoop of this Monster Mash popcorn. Now, I found this at Walmart, and it's basically a mixture of caramel corn, popcorn, pretzels. It's a really fun mix and a really fun color for Halloween. And then lastly, to go along with the pretzels, I'm also going to throw in a little wedge of Laughing Cow cheese. My kids love to dip their pretzels in this cheese, and I think it's a good way to get some protein into their snack. So now I have their lunch ready, I have their snacks for after school ready, and then I had a really hard time finding any Halloween themed drinks in my area. So for today's lunch, the kids are just gonna take their water bottles. Hey guys, and welcome to Wednesday. Now today is kind of a wet and rainy day, which we actually enjoy. And for today's lunch, I've planned to make a spooky monster soup. Now, since I want the soup to stay nice and hot by lunchtime, I've already filled up all of the thermoses with boiling hot water. Right before I fill up the thermoses, I will dump that water out. Priming the thermoses definitely helps keep the soup hot longer. So the first ingredient for this soup is hot dogs. Now, I know that sounds a little bit weird, but stick with me, I'll show you what I mean. I'm just using some all beef hot dogs. We really like these ones from Costco. And I'm going to cut these hot dogs into smaller pieces. These will definitely fit better in our soup, and they're the perfect size for making little monsters. Next, I'm going to take some thin spaghetti. This is not cooked or anything. Now, of course, you could also use regular spaghetti, but this is just what I have in the pantry, so I'm going with it. So now I'm just taking the uncooked spaghetti noodles and I'm poking them through the sides of the hot dog pieces, just like this. And I really like to fill these guys up. I put at least 8 pieces of spaghetti per hot dog. Now this is really easy to do, especially if you have yourself a little helper. My kids love to help me make these, especially my 5-year-old. So now that we have all of these done, they're looking really spooky already. I'm going to add all of these to a big pot of boiling hot water. And I'm going to cook them until the spaghetti is soft. Now after the spaghetti is cooked, these really do look like little monsters. And what I like to do is go ahead and add them into some store-bought soup. These are the Joe's O's I get from Trader Joe's. They're basically like a SpaghettiO type soup. I think with that red tomato soup in there with the noodles, it looks really creepy. So now I went ahead and added the soup to the thermoses. I'll go ahead and get those lids on tight and then move on to our fruits and vegetables. For the fruit today, I'm going to go ahead and add some green grapes. And then I'm going to decorate this section with this really cute jack-o'-lantern pick. And then in this back section, I'm just adding a few slices of cucumber. And I just went ahead and cut this in a checkerboard pattern, just so it looks a little bit more interesting in the lunchbox. Now for the kids' snack today, I'm also going to be throwing in some cheese. So for the girls, I'm taking some light Baby Bell cheese. And then using a paring knife, I very carefully removed some of the wax. So now these look like a jack-o'-lantern. And then for my son Jackson, he doesn't really like regular Baby Bell cheese, so for him I went ahead and took a regular string cheese, and using a Sharpie I just drew a little ghost face directly on the package. Again, this is one of the easiest and quickest but really cute items that you can make for a Halloween themed lunch. And then last but not least, I also have a very special sweet treat. I'm gonna give each kid their own Halloween sugar cookie. Now, believe it or not, I actually found these at Target. and they are so adorable. They have lots of different kinds of Halloween cookies, and they're kind of on the larger side, so one is definitely enough for each lunchbox. And then of course they also have their monster soup, and to drink today the kids are just gonna take their water bottles. Good morning guys, and happy Thursday! So today I'm back with another super cute but easy Halloween lunch. And for the main course I'm going to be making something that could be served hot or at room temperature. I'm going to be making some mummy bread. Now for this, I'm starting with some biscuit dough. These are the grand biscuits, which makes them a little bit bigger than the normal ones. And these are the regular biscuits. They're not the flaky ones. I'm not sure if those would work for this recipe. I've never tried the flaky ones. So I'm going to go ahead and open up these biscuits. Oh yes, and just in case you don't have biscuit dough, or maybe you don't like biscuit dough, you could also make these with just a regular slice of bread, or even an English muffin. Those would work really well for this too. I'm going to take each biscuit, and using my rolling pin, I'm going to flatten it out and create a larger circle. And then once I have all of my biscuits flattened out, I'm going to add them to a cookie sheet. Next, I'm going to take a little bit of store-prepared pizza sauce, or marinara sauce, either one is fine. And I'm going to add a spoonful to each piece of dough and then spread it out. Next comes the cheese, and I think it's really important that you use string cheese for this. I like to use at least one piece of string cheese per dough. And before I add the string cheese on here, I want to rip the cheese into smaller pieces. This is really gonna help these guys look like a mummy. So now I'm adding my strips of string cheese sort of haphazardly all over the top of my dough, but I am leaving just a little space where the mummy's eyes are going to go. But at this point, I'm not adding the eyes yet. I'm gonna go ahead and pop this into the oven for about 10 minutes or until the dough is completely cooked. Now while those are in the oven, I'm gonna move on to some easy Halloween themed fruit. Now this is something my daughter Lily requested. She absolutely loves these. And since these are so easy, I definitely wanted to throw them into today's lunch. Basically, I'm just taking a fruit cup, and then using a Sharpie marker, I'm just gonna draw a little jack-o'-lantern face on the top of each container. And then just like that, our mummy bread is ready for the next step. I'm just gonna add 2 little slices of olive to each piece of bread. That way these look like little mummy eyes peeking out. Super cute and super easy. Now if I was making these at home, I would definitely serve them right away, but they're also good in the lunchbox just at room temperature. Now speaking of the lunchbox, I'm gonna go ahead and add these right into there, and then move on to the vegetable. In this back section, I'm gonna go ahead and add some sugar snap peas, and then I'm also gonna throw in some pumpkin-shaped carrots. To make these, I used a whole carrot, and I very carefully notched out 2 little triangles at the top. That way when I slice this carrot, I'm left with pieces that kind of look like pumpkins. So I'm just gonna go ahead and add a few pieces in here. These are super easy to make, but they do take a little bit of time. So I'm just adding a couple into each lunch, not a ton of them. Over on this side, I'm going to add a little container of ranch. This is to go along with the sugar snap peas and the carrots. And then in this other section, I have just enough space for a sweet treat. For today's lunch, I'm going to add maybe 1 or 2 of these pumpkin JoJo's. Now these are a lot like an Oreo cookie, but I get these ones at Trader Joe's, and these ones are seriously good. They really do taste like a crunchy pumpkin pie. And I'm going to put just 2 of these in each lunchbox. Now this next part I call a happy accident. I was adding a few loose peas into the vegetable section, and as you can see, this one rolled into the center of the olive on our mummy pizza, and I actually think this looks really cool. So I'm gonna go ahead and put peas into all of the eyes. I think they definitely look more spooky that way. And then last but not least, for the kids' snack today, I'm also gonna throw in a little package of these Halloween goldfish crackers. Now really, these are just regular goldfish crackers, but they are in a really cute Halloween bag. Hey guys, we made it to Friday. Now Friday tends to be our unofficial breakfast for lunch day. So for today's lunch, I thought it'd be really fun to try something new. I recently came across this really cute pumpkin waffle maker on Amazon. This seems to have really good reviews, and it was less than $10, so I thought, hey, let's give it a try. Now I have to say, you guys, that this is a lot smaller than I thought it would be. Look how tiny, it like fits in the palm of my hand. For some reason, I didn't think to look at the measurements on Amazon, but you know, I think it's okay even though it is small. Okay guys, now since I'm making a pumpkin shaped waffle, I thought it'd be really fitting to use this pumpkin spice flavored waffle mix. So I'm gonna go ahead and mix up a batch of this, and then I'm gonna start making the waffles. Now the instructions that came with this waffle iron say to use only 3 tablespoons of batter, which is really not a lot at all. So I'm definitely gonna have to make a couple of these to put into each lunch since they're so small. So in goes the first one, and check it out you guys, it actually does work. This came out so cute. Of course the top side looks like a pumpkin, and then the bottom side just looks like a regular waffle. Not bad for less than 10 bucks. So I'm gonna go ahead and make these until I've used up all the batter, and then I'm going to get them into the lunchbox. Now of course by lunchtime these are no longer going to be warm, but I think the kids are still gonna like them even at room temperature. And then to go along with these, instead of adding syrup, I'm gonna add some apple butter. Now if you've never had apple butter, it's really not butter at all. It's like a really thick applesauce with sort of a cinnamon flavor. It has more of a jam-like consistency, and I think it'll go really well with these pumpkin waffles. So I went ahead and added some to this little squeeze bottle. That way the kids can squirt it right on their pancakes and eat it like that. Next, to go along with our breakfast themed lunch, I have some eggs. But instead of just adding hard-boiled eggs, I went ahead and made these into deviled eggs. Now, some of my kids have told me that they no longer like hard-boiled eggs, but I'm pretty sure that they all still like deviled eggs. So I'm gonna go ahead and add 2 to each lunchbox. And then to make these a little bit more spooky, I'm gonna take half an olive and place these directly on top of the egg. Then I'm going to add extra pieces of olive around the edges. Now I was kind of going for a spider, but I almost think that these look like monster eyes. Either way, they're still gonna be tasty. Now in this front section, I'm gonna go ahead and add some fruit. For today's lunch, I decided to go with kiwi. That's not necessarily a Halloween fruit, but I do think it looks a little bit creepy. With all those black seeds in there and the bright green color, I think it's perfect for Halloween. Next up, we're adding a little bit of pumpkin Greek yogurt. I get this at Trader Joe's and it is an October staple in our house. And to decorate the top of the yogurt, I'm also gonna add just a few little Halloween sprinkles. I've had this container of sprinkles for about a month and Miss Lily keeps asking me when we can use it. So today is the day. I'm just gonna add a little bit of these Halloween sprinkles right on top. For the kids' snack today, I'm also gonna throw in a bag of these Halloween pretzels. These are the ones with the jack-o'-lantern shapes and the bat shapes, and I usually find these at either Walmart or Target. And then for the kids' drink today, they can either choose to take their water or they can pick chocolate milk. You can probably guess which one they're gonna pick. Okay guys, let me know in the comments down below, out of all of the lunches this week, which one was your favorite? Also, let me know in the comments down below what your favorite Halloween food is. Thanks for watching and we'll see you in tomorrow's video.